rolled. Hey, everybody, Dr. Meri Crowley for Now Is the Time. I'm so excited to have back on the show with me Jill Rosencrance of the DeTox Girls. Her partner, Shayna, her business partner, not another partner, her business partner. They're both married to men. You just have to be careful right now. But anyway, I met, in fact, I interviewed Dr. Christina Rom several years ago, and it was very eye-opening. She will talk a little bit about her protocols, but I ended up getting on the Trinity pack. But one of the things in the Trinity pack, the first product in it is the Clean Slate. And this is a zeolite formulation that you just take a dropper in the morning and a dropper at night, a couple drops under your tongue. And it actually does miracles because it detoxes you from the heavy metals and things. It pulls it out of your body. But the great thing is it puts the trace minerals you need back in. And so when I started on the Trinity, which is, Clean Slate, Restore and Zero In, it literally did wonders. And I signed up for Root Prime, which is like Amazon Prime. After the first month, you get free shipping. And it's been amazing. So if you go to the rootbrand.com/now is the time, let's put that up there, the rootbrands.com/now is the time. You have to register for a free affiliate link, but then you go to shop. And, I ordered the Trinity pack initially, but then I always get Clean Slate every month on Prime. Then I order things as I need it. So it really does help. And if you share it with other people, you'll get, you'll get, I think, what is it? 15%, 25%, Jill?
15% credit. Yeah.
15% credit that you can go toward your orders. And every 4 months you get a coupon. It's either $50 or $100. Is that correct, Jill?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And then you can use those to order products as well. It really does help. So anyway, rootbrands.com/now is the time. Okay. So Jill, good to see you. It's been quite a while.
Nice to see you too.
And your partner, Shane, is not here because she's on a business trip. But yes. Why don't you go into just a little bit of your story? Because me being in Hollywood, it's always about moving stories, motion pictures, and Jesus taught in parables. So people really, they actually see it when you tell a story. And I think people can relate to it, why you got so involved in the Root Brands.
Yeah, thanks so much. So I am a mom who was trying to fight for her daughter's life. My daughter just kept getting sicker and sicker, and I went to every doctor here in Pittsburgh. I mean, when I say every doctor, hands down, if it was called holistic, integrative, anybody that had a DO, somebody that I was looking for a natural way to help my daughter because no one could help my daughter. And I started doing research, as every parent does, right? So every parent who has a kid who has a problem, they become the main investigator. And I started.
What was the matter with your daughter?
Yeah. So my daughter's actually vaccine injured, or was, no longer, but was vaccine injured from childhood vaccines. I had a great pediatrician who cheered me on and told me all the right things I was doing for my kid, even though I was asking the right questions. I knew something was wrong. She kept getting worse. And so it was the cumulative effect. And then there was a tipping point. So my daughter ended up with asthma. By 20 years old, she ended up with COPD, some label that I was like, no, we're not doing that. And then infertility and food sensitivities. And she was very inflamed and her cough was terrible. Everybody thought she was a smoker. And she just kept getting worse and worse. And every passing year, she was getting worse and no doctors had answers for me. So as I became the investigator that I was, I started just diving into all of the resources that I could find. I started to detox my daughter because something led me to, she had heavy metal toxicity. She had a lot of gut problems, which I didn't know at the time, but I was focused on this heavy metal toxicity that I knew she had. And so I was detoxing her. And this is the main point that I want to point out to people. Parents or people trying to detox themselves, there's a whole mechanism to it, and you have to be very careful, because what I did was I detoxed my daughter and I pushed her body so hard she actually got worse. And that was really scary to me. And I was very upset. She wanted to cancel her wedding. It was a year in advance of her wedding. She wanted to cancel it because she couldn't even walk outside of her house. Her allergies were so bad. She couldn't eat any foods. And she's like, I'm never going to enjoy my wedding. I'm just canceling it. Okay, that's heartbreaking for a mom, right? I've been dealing with this since she was a little girl, and here she was 24 years old, and it just was terrible. Mm-hmm. So I reached out to Clayton Thomas, who is a person who was on Facebook telling me about his wife, and she's a formulator, she's a scientist, I should talk to her. And at the time, Shanna and I had just started the DeTox Girls because we were detoxing our kids and we thought we were doing it right. Well, when I called Clayton, he's like, well, I don't really know all your answers, but here, she probably does. And he hands the phone to his wife. And I was like, okay.
And weren't they on the way to, I mean, this is so great about Clayton and Dr. Thomas. They were on a way to a wedding or somewhere, and they took your call and they started talking to you just on the phone.
Right. So they had an hour and a half drive, and I was blessed to have an hour and a half with Dr. Christina Rahm. I mean, that is a gift that will go down in history as being one of the best gifts of my whole life, next to my husband and my children and my family. Meeting her changed everything. So I told her my story. I told her about my daughter. I told her about the allergies and the infertility and the COPD. And, she's only in her early 20s. This just doesn't make sense. I'm doing all the things. And she asked me what I was doing. And she said, what are you doing to regenerate her body? What does that mean? I didn't even know what it meant at the time. And I said, clearly nothing, because I don't even know what that means. So she explained to me, regenerating the body. How are we protecting the body, strengthening the body, getting to the root cause, not just pushing the body in detox, but healing the gut, supporting the inflammation, the immune system, supporting cognitive function. What are you doing for those? And I was like, nothing. I hadn't even thought about that. And she said, that's what you're doing wrong. And then she started to explain it to me more. And then she explained the Trinity to me, how the Trinity not only detoxes at a cellular level, but protects cellular health, addresses gut health, immune health, cognitive function. And now we're protecting and supporting and rebuilding the body. And I was like, wow, that makes perfect sense. That's the thing I've been missing. And I just didn't know how to ask the right question. So I ordered it that day. It came, and 2 weeks later, I saw improvement. Was she healed? No. Was she improving? Absolutely. Absolutely. So we stuck with it. And a year and a half later, and this was cumulative in this time frame. So it's not a year and a half for everything. So a few months later, we take her back to the pulmonologist, and I said, so does she have COPD? And he looked at me like I was crazy. And I said,
what is COPD? Just for people, what is it?
Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is something that people in their 90s have, not somebody in their 20s. My daughter was actually worried about having cystic fibrosis because she had a friend who passed from cystic fibrosis. And that's how severe her symptoms were. Her symptoms were so severe, she thought she had CF, and she thought she was not going to make it. And that's, so of course I'm still taking her to a doctor, still seeking medical advice, still seeking what I need to do, but seeking the natural support too. So we take her back to the pulmonologist, and I asked the question, does she still have COPD? And he looked at me like I was crazy, because again, you're not supposed to have that in your 20s. And I said, well, look at your records. And he goes back and he goes, oh, I did diagnose her with COPD. And I said, does she have that? And he said, no, she doesn't have that or asthma. And I said, so she can go off all of her medications. Yes, let's get her off of everything. And I said, would you like to know how we did that? What changed? And he said, no. And I looked at my daughter, and she looked at me, and I said, well, I'm not really surprised. I said, it's a shame, because you could help a lot of people. And he said, no, we're good. So he was so focused on biologics that they are now giving for asthma and COPD that he did not want to hear about a root cause or how you could get to that root cause. So I don't claim to cure, heal, treat, prevent any illness or disease. But what I will say is there's a root cause to illness or disease. And if you can go backwards and protect the body, so address detoxification, address deficiencies, get those out of the body and start healing the body, you'll make so much progress. And then I told you that she was diagnosed with infertility. So 3 reproductive endocrinologists told us that when she needed IVF, just let us know. Just bring her back, let us know. Again,
IVF in vitro fertilization.
yes, correct. Right. So my daughter had, and people can look this up, my daughter had primary amenorrhea. And that is the absence of menses ever. She never had it. So secondary is when you
had a menstrual cycle. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So even into her early 20s. So at 15, 18, and 21, I had taken her to reproductive endocrinologists trying to figure out what the problem is. Because I knew my daughter was going to want kids. She loves little kids. She was the world's best babysitter. She would babysit 6 kids under 6 years old from one family. I mean, she was the ultimate babysitter. I knew she would want kids. So I wasn't willing to sit back and just think, well, when she wants kids, then we'll start doing something about it. Wait and see is the Western medicine model. And I just don't believe in that. Wait and see.
Or they push some big pharma at you.
Well,
you know correct. That.
But it's still wait and see. So we're going to wait and see till your labs get there to give you a medication, or we're going to wait and see how that medication does to see if we need to increase your medication. There's just never this time of let's get what's happening. Diet, exercise, water, movement. And if they say it, it's while they're walking out to the door. Oh yeah, diet and exercise, that would be great. But there's never a true conversation about the root cause of health. So I am happy to say I just got back yesterday. I spent the last month babysitting my second granddaughter, who is now 4 months old. So my daughter is a teacher, had to go back to school for the last month of school. So I went down and babysat for her. But I now have my older granddaughter turns 3 tomorrow, and my younger granddaughter is 4 months now. And this was not IVF. This was not months of trying. In fact, she's like, Mom, you know how they told me I would have trouble conceiving? I said, yeah. She goes, yeah, I conceived earlier than I wanted to both times because we were trying early based on the information of, well, come back when you want IVF. So she's got 2 beautiful, very healthy daughters. She's healthy. She's happy. She's not on any of the medications. And although, again, I can't claim to heal, treat, prevent any illness or disease, the mom in me can tell you that my daughter is so much healthier, so much better. And my 2 granddaughters are proof of that.
Well, this is amazing. And this is the results, and I've been on the Root brands, the Trinity pack, in particular, Clean Slate. I take that every day, but I do order other products on the Root brands. But now one of the things that Dr. Rum, I know in your conversation in the car that she told you that was a gift from God to you was that a lot of people are using these zeolite formulations to pull all these heavy metals out of their system. But that was a problem because it wasn't replacing it with minerals that you needed. It was like stripping your body. Is that correct?
Right, exactly. So that's what I had been using. So when I say I detoxed my daughter wrong, I was using a plain zeolite product. It was the one that's touted as natural. And so I was really excited about it. But what I didn't know that we were doing was we were taking a weakened body, right? So terrain theory, like we were taking an already weakened body, one that was so full of toxicities and deficiencies, and then adding a zeolite, which was pulling heavy metals off the binding site, but then there was nothing to replace it on the binding site, which made a weaker cellular health. And so that was part of the education that Dr. Ram gave me that day, which is if you're going to pull those heavy metals off, you have to have the minerals there to replace them, and not just magnesium, not just iodine. You have to have all of the trace minerals. You have to have a multitude of trace minerals to bring back onto the binding site, because binding sites work like a lock and key mechanism, and you have to have a lot of minerals to come back onto those binding sites. People who have illness and disease, part of their deficiency is that they're mineral deficient, in addition to being, just digestive health and cognitive function, weakened immune systems. So that was really great to know. So the Clean Slate formulation is bioavailable silica. And I'm going to go through it a little bit because I feel like the The website, and they are improving this, but the website doesn't quite hit on all of the things unless you click on the science section. So when you're on there, just click on the science section. All of the patents and stuff are on there. But it's bioavailable silica, and then it's trace minerals, which is what is needed for those binding sites. And then it's vitamin C, which I did a little more research of the mechanism of what vitamin C does, and it helps to get it through the cell membrane. And that would therefore create an intracellular detox. That's the mechanism of action. So you won't find that on the website. It's research I did to find out the reason for the vitamin C, right? So we're protecting the body, supporting it, rebuilding it. And then it's the patented like frequency type protocols, the mechanisms that she's using that create cellular communication. So anytime you watch any of her videos, she talks about cellular communication and cell blockades. So we're getting those good cells to talk to each other, right? Because cells create cells, create cells. And then we're putting blockades around bad cells to keep those bad cells from communicating or replicating. And so we are creating better cellular health through cell communication. And so it's not just about the ingredients in Clean Slate. It's about the patented processes that she uses to create those. So you have to create a free account through Meri. You can put that back up on the screen. But if you create a free account through Meri, all you do is you click on that, and then you go to create an account, choose your country, because we're 92 countries globally, and then you just put in your email address and click continue. And that opens up the science section. And you can click on that, and it lists all of the patents for all of the products that Dr. Ram has submitted, and the ones that are approved and the ones that are patent pending. And there's so many. So this is not,
then, Jill, when they click on, they have to choose their name that they want to use. Like I put
no,
the
all
time.
of that is gone now.
Oh, it's gone?
All they need is their email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the website updated a couple months ago. And so now all you do is you just enter in your email address and click continue, and your account is done. And then you can put in the rest whenever you place your order. It'll ask you for your name and name and home address, your shipping address, billing information. So what I love is that you can access all of the science there. You can access the ingredients. There's a little video with each product now. There's a product card that shows all of the benefits. The website has improved a lot once you're logged in. And then if you use Meri's referral code to create your free account, there is a $10 discount that you can use, apply at checkout. But you have to register with Meri's Now Is the Time referral code. And then I double checked on this before we came on. It's NEW10, NEW10. So if you're within Meri's community, you can use NEW10 at checkout, and that will give you $10 off. Or even better, you can, because you're logged in, you open up the free subscription program. So it's free to sign up, cancel anytime, no charge at all, not roping you into anything. You get 10% off of every order, free shipping after the first order, 50, 100, or even 150 in rewards every 4 orders that go out. Plus, you get flexibility. So if you don't need everything every month, you're not ordering products that you don't need. So you can change it's called RPS. You can change your Root Prime subscription to reflect only what you need each month. So if you have enough Zero in, not a problem. Change it over to the Duo Pack. If you have enough of those and you just need a bottle of Clean Slate, not a problem. You're only ordering exactly what you need, but still getting that 10% off, free shipping. And then RPS members, the first of every month, they get access to a flash deal and a monthly deal. So this month, this is June. Today's June 2nd. And yesterday they launched the peptide skincare line for RPS members, and they get that 20% off. And so it's every month you get an extra discount for the product of the month. And that's something new that they've started to do to prioritize RPS members and give them extra discounts. So it's completely free to sign up, and yet you get all of the discounts and bonuses that way.
And RPS means Root Prime subscription,
Correct.
kind of like Amazon Prime.
Correct.
That, I think Amazon, you have to pay, what is it, $16-17 a month? Of course, you get.
Yeah, it's I think $165 a year. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, yes. Well, so let's get into it's a really great products. The Trinity pack again is the Clean Slate,
right?
The Restore, which is about the gut health, and then the Zero In, which deals with dopamine levels in your brain.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in a minute, but many of you watching, we've seen an epidemic of an influx of cancer. We've seen so many conditions that are just popping up because, as many of you know, they are trying to poison us. People that didn't get the jab, the shot, they say, well, I didn't get it. Well, it's the shedding. Talk about the shedding a little bit, because people, I have a friend who has a home church and nobody got the jab, but when the nurse practitioner that actually went there, she did everybody's blood. They all had graphene oxide in their blood. They all showed things in their blood, and it wasn't from getting it. They were around people that had gotten it. Explain
Right.
that a little bit and how Clean Slate can eradicate some of that.
Right. And so I would love to be connected with her because let's get some trials going for some people who have that problem, right? The first time I learned about shedding was actually before the pandemic. I learned about it. My husband is an avid hunter, and he was talking to me one time about how they're doing herd immunity. They're spreading things throughout the deer community by dropping it so that certain deer get it, but then it's being able to be passed along. And I haven't been able to relocate this study, but there was a study through Johns Hopkins who explained that in depth. And it was back at the beginning of the pandemic that I found it. And shame on me for not screenshotting it because it's gone now.
No shame on you.
Right. Well, but
I understand what you're saying.
But I wish I would have screenshotted it because it was there and I was showing it to everybody and I was explaining to them how if they're doing it with the animal population, that was a trial. So I would assume that it is working with the human population. And I would say, yes, you're right. There's a lot of people who have talked about being sick and did not get it, but maybe a family member did, or a spouse did, or they were, surrounded by it in whatever way, shape, or form. And the turbo cancers they're just coming to light so quickly. And Dr. Ram had told me back then, 2 to 5 years, you're really going to see an increase in a lot of harm in people's health. We need to get the word out, which is actually why she didn't want to open up a company. They opened up Q2 of 2020. So think about that. February 2nd of 2020, they launched a company. That was the worst time to launch a company. And yet it was the most important time.
The pandemic first started. Pretty much, right? We were the first state that shut down in California, pretty much shut down in March of 2020.
Right. I remember it was Friday the 13th of March. So March 13th, 2020, I remember my daughter being told that they weren't coming back to school. I remember being out to dinner for my friend's birthday and the whole world was shutting down. And I remember that night she called and told me she had a fever. And, at the beginning, my heart dropped. Looking back, she actually had COVID back in October of 2019, or the end of October, beginning of November. She had been tested for everything. She's like, it's not flu A, it's not flu B. She came home for my dad's funeral. And she was this was 2019, so everything was open. Hundreds of people in a very small space. And there she was at the end of COVID, her symptoms of COVID. And, my mom is 85 years old now. So, my mom would have been 80 years old and she didn't get COVID. So
that's why they called it COVID-19.
Yeah.
Because it's not in 19. And God actually told me, Jill, he said, COVID-19 is Christ overcoming victory in disease, Psalm 19. And I was able to share it on actually NBC Nightly News when they were out there. The BBC had their masked cameramen on asking us why we're out being super spreaders we were doing baptisms in the ocean. And I was able to give a soundbite. I said about COVID-19. And I said, well, if Antifa and BLM can be out there without masks because they're protesting, I said, we're protesting for Jesus.
Right. My favorite was when they were out there with their masks and their signs saying, stay home and keep people safe. And I'm thinking, but you're out. So what is the difference if you're out or I'm out?
Yeah. Well, going back to this shedding, it is herd immunity. They're trying to shed it in the population, and it has worked. I mean, people are, maybe they didn't get the jab, but it's in the food we eat. It's in the air with the chemtrails. It's all over.
Right.
the place, the childhood vaccinations. I mean, I'm in a state, California, that if you're in a public school or if you're in a Christian school, you still have to get, and there's 72 of them.
Right.
I mean, you
Right.
can't do like medical exemption or health
No, and
exemption
or
here.
religious exemption. And the CDC did bring that down from 72 to 11, but try to tell a pediatrician that because they're, and it's factual. You can find the facts on this. These doctors are being compensated for having
Yeah,
fully vaccinated practices. That
yeah.
makes it very difficult to find a practice, and it makes it difficult to choose what state you're going to raise your children in. And
And they also got money, for people that got the jab. I
yes.
know some
Well,
of my sister's mother-in-law had been to a doctor for many years, and he said, "I can't see you anymore unless you get this."
right,
And so
right.
she got it, and then I mean, she was in her 80s, but driving, very cognitive. She was amazing. Within 2 months, she lost her ability to drive. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
So
Well,
let's
I walked away from my job, and I don't know if you know this about me. I was a medical coder for University Pittsburgh Medical Center. And in 2022, February 2022, I walked away from my job. They were still trying to force me to so I worked from home. I'd been working from home for 16 of those years. I've worked there for almost 30. And they were having meetings about me weekly. They didn't know what to do with me because I wouldn't file an exemption. Because I wasn't going to let them determine whether my religious exemption, they weren't going to sit in judgment of that. With the flu, for declining the flu, I just had to check a button and say I decline. COVID comes around and they wanted me to fill out all these papers and jump through all these hoops. And I said, no, I wouldn't do that. And I walked away from my job because I was talking to a doctor and I said, there's a vaccine injury here. You talked about it. We need to document it correctly so they can document this. You also need to submit it to VAERS. And he said, what's VAERS? And I quit my job in that moment. I hung up the phone from him and I quit my job. VAERS is the vaccine injury reporting system. And this doctor didn't know what that was. Now, I am a mom. At that time, I'm a mom who's a medical coder working in a multi-specialty practice, being forced to consider getting an experimental jab, but my daughter was vaccine injured. So I wasn't even considering it for a moment. That was not going to happen. And they were talking about my job, and I just decided to take control and I quit. I wish I would have waited to get fired. I did try to wait about 4 months to try to get fired to see if I could, take advantage of that in case this didn't work out.
get like unemployment.
No, because I quit.
No, but I mean, if you got fired,
Yeah.
would you have
Yeah.
gotten unemployment?
Yes.
Okay.
And my husband took early retirement the December before. So 2 months earlier, he took early retirement in case they made his pension based upon his vaccine status, because he's a welder. Well, he's a retired welder, but he was welding air conditioning units in the shop for UPMC, same place I worked for. And we both just started to worry that if I was being in this position, is he going to be in this position? And they were saying, well, we can't even bid a job because we have to be fully vaccinated to bid a job. So he quit
No,
his job in
pretty
December.
wild. Out in Hollywood, you couldn't even work on a set and
Right.
unless you'd been. So
Right.
because we only have about 10 more minutes left,
Yeah.
there's people watching that maybe they're saying, okay, this all sounds good.
Yeah.
I probably want to order some of this stuff, but why don't we go into some of the symptoms and, this whole thing, everybody's got some type of toxicity in their body.
Right.
And, they hear all these different doctors. I've interviewed a lot of the doctors, and these are all great, people, Dr. Artis, Dr. Brian Artis, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, Dr. Judy Mikovich, all these people, they're all great. But the root brands of all the products, I mean, I'm on the root brands every day. And I take some of the other products too, but what are some of the questions that maybe would be people out there that you hear the most that we could answer right now in regards to some of the things that they might be asking in their head?
Yeah, absolutely. So illness and disease labels come from a root cause. Those root causes are toxicities and deficiencies. It goes a little deeper than that, but for time's sake, toxicities and deficiencies. So toxicities, mold, yeast, fungus, heavy metals, chemtrails, the VOCs on our clothes, the air fresheners and the house cleaners that you have, all of these toxins add up in your body, including emotional traumas and negative experiences in life. Those are toxicities in your body too, things that should not be there. And then there's deficiencies. Well, we have one whole organ system. So there's a lot of, oh, I need a parasite cleanse, a liver flush, a gallbladder flush. Well, our organ system works together as one unit, right? Our body is one whole unit. So it's not a matter of detoxing a single organ. It's a matter of building up the deficiencies and then addressing the toxicities. And that's what the Trinity does. It does this simultaneously. It does it regeneratively, and it does it with support. So it's not harsh. And I have, and Meri, I can give this to you. So there are label directions from the company, but we took the time to kind of talk to our whole community and bring together an easy start guide and an ebook that anybody from your community can access, because we thought a slower start, building up, listening to your body was the best way to do this, because you're waking your body up. So this would be like your body is currently in a deep REM sleep and we want to wake you up. Well, the last thing we want to do is, door comes wide open, lights are on, loud music, and somebody's screaming at you. That's a lot of times how detoxes work. We want the gentle wake up, the soft lighting, hey, it's time to get up, give you a couple minutes, because you guys all know if you are woken up from a REM sleep in a bad way, it ruins your whole day. Well, that's the same approach with detox. We're looking to wake up the body slowly, rebuild it, protect it, support it. And this includes opening up the detox pathways. It includes a binder. It includes digestive support, immune support, cognitive function. It's great for athletes, people who are busy, ADHD, autism, and you can, on the science site, you can see that. You can see the patents for autism, ADHD. She's working on patents for reversal of cancer through cellular communication and cellular health. And again,
just to address the autism, I know my grandson Landon, was diagnosed on the spectrum, just a mild, but one in 10 boys now has been diagnosed with autism.
Yeah, it's something like that. I mean, and when you think about that, right? So the number of vaccines go up, and then the number of cases go up very significantly. And it's time to, it's harm to the body at a cellular level. So let's take the time that we can to give them every child is special. And so talking about autism does not take away who they are as a person, but we are here to give our children the best life. Our children, our grandchildren, every child deserves the best life. They deserve a gut health that where it doesn't hurt, where their tummy doesn't hurt. So let's talk about cellular detox and gut health and neurotoxicity and neurodegeneration, and let's give them the best chance at feeling good every single day.
And just to note, Shanna, your partner that you guys connected because you had similar, Shanna had an issue with her gut where, she couldn't even have a bowel movement. Right. A lot of challenges with her son, who was explained what her son was going through.
Yeah. So her son was also vaccine injured, received a vaccine that she was not aware of at the age of 3, and it almost killed him. And thankfully, an ER doctor came in and said, if you had not brought him in here, you would not have, your baby would not be alive tomorrow. They gave him a DTaP shot when he was, I want to say in 9th grade. They gave him a DTaP shot without her knowledge. So the childhood one she knew about, the one in 9th grade she didn't know about. And all of his autism symptoms came rushing back. And he went from a full out athlete, D1 prospect for basketball, and he was the highest level math you can get, and he regressed. So this was when she found Root along with me, and I want to say it took maybe 6 months to a year, and he got everything back, and he ended up going to college, on a scholarship, all of those things. But we can reverse the illness and disease caused by toxicities and deficiencies, and that's the goal. Right. So the goal is to rid the body of those toxicities through open detox pathways, lowering inflammation, getting rid of brain fog, getting rid of cognitive function, getting rid of that digestive health We normalized that. I normalized it through my whole 20s. I would eat dinner and I would go lay on the floor, and I just learned to normalize that. It's crazy looking back how I would eat and then was so sick every single night.
Now the brain fog, is that more of the zero in the Trinity? You've got the 3 different products. It's the Clean Slate, which you take in the morning and at night under your tongue, just a dropper. And you work up to that because you start with a drop or 2, and then you work up to eventually 10 drops a day. But then the Restore is for your gut health, but the zero in is in little capsules that actually you take 1 or 2 a day, and that's for your brain health, the dopamine level, correct?
Right. So it's for mood, it's for anxiety, it's for neurotransmitters in the gut, it's for gut health. Again, great for ADHD, athletic performance, busy, anybody who's busy. I know my daughter is going to have a toddler and a baby home for the summer. And she said Zero In was is on sale this month, and I can go through, we can put that in the description.
Well, can you give Zero In to a child, like to a 2 or 3 month?
Yeah, so you can, you would have to open up the capsule, but my daughter was talking about for herself. She's like, Mom, I'm going to have these 2. She goes, I have to make sure I have enough Zero In to get me through the whole summer, because I don't know how I'm going to survive this summer with a toddler and an infant. And I get it, right? So I take Zero In. I just watched her for a whole month. I took Zero In every morning because I'm not 26 anymore, and it's hard to take care of a baby and run a business and all of that. So yeah, so really synergy, you can take them individually, and yes, they'll work. Cellular detox, restore your gut health, Zero In for cognitive function and focus. But really, the synergy of the Trinity, you will make the most amount of progress in the least amount of time by just starting with the Trinity, and then just adjust your order for what you need for each month so that you stay on budget. You don't feel like you're ordering
a Trinity pack, just to let people know. It's over $200 for 3 products, like $220. Just to let people know, I think it's 70 something for Clean Slate, which I'm on Rid Prime, where I get that every month. But then the Restore and the Zero In, these products, I mean, you can't find, these type of products for, really inexpensive. I mean, so just to let people know, they think, well, that's expensive. It is, but how many people go out and get a Starbucks every day?
Right.
And you know what I mean? They go and get a coffee, this and that, and it adds up to, be like, if you can spend $7-10 a day at Starbucks, I mean, that's almost like $70 just there, just buying coffee.
And people will spend $13 on a cocktail and even $12 on a mocktail, but won't spend, so it's just kind of readjusting that priority mindset. The other thing is, that's the benefit of RPS. So you're going to get 10% off. So it's $21 off right off the top. And then you get the free shipping. So that's another $10 off. And then you get the reward points back so that you can continue your journey. Because the company says, if you're invested in your health, we'll help to invest in you. They're very generous in that way. And everybody that is a customer has a free referral code you can share with your friends, your family. Do you know a business entrepreneur, an influencer? There's a lot of ways to, athletes, there's a lot of ways to share this. Earn 15% back for yourself just by helping somebody else. So people will often say to me, well, I don't like to sell. I can't sell. I'm not a salesperson. If I were to win an award, it would be for world's worst salesperson. I am not a salesperson at all. What I am is someone who loves to help people. That's my heart for helping humanity. I reflect what Dr. Ram says when she talks about helping humanity. She's not out here to make money. She's out to help humanity. So just really quickly, the reason Dr. Ram's why, she's a mom of 4, but she was diagnosed with a brain tumor, spinal tumor, 3 kinds of skin cancer. She lost one of her twins when she was pregnant to cancer. One of her other children had cancer. Her dad had head, neck, and throat cancer. This is very personal to her. When she left pharmaceutical science, she left to develop her own formulations for her own health, her own kids, so she could be here for her kids. She could do this for her parents. She never really intended to put out a company. It was her husband who said, the world needs you. And we're in a time where the world needs you. And she agreed to it.
Well, and she was also invited to Wuhan to be one of the scientists. And she had a clear check in her spirit because she's a believer, she's a Christian. Yes. And I remember her telling me in the interview that I did with her like 4 years ago now, that she was at some type of conference. I think it was a Christian conference, and some women came up to her and they said, you know what, God has showed us that there's going to be, God's going to use, I feel God's heart,
Yeah.
this one. Whenever I feel his heart, I cry. I don't like to cry online, but it was like said that you were going to be used as an Esther at some point in the future to really help mankind. And she now knows that it was about inventing and developing the formulations that God gave her. Because,
Right.
you know, she told me God gave her these formulations. I don't know why I'm crying. You guys, I hate this. Whenever I feel God's heart, I cry. God told me years ago, he goes, do you want to know what part of the body of Christ you are? Like, I couldn't even imagine. It wasn't a question I'd asked myself. And he said, you're the heart because you share my heart with the people. And God hates cancer, and he hates when people are sick and autism and all this stuff. And I just feel God's heart for the people right now that are going through things. And Dr. Ram was told that she would be that she at one day would be like an Esther. And I believe, and she even said that God gave her this formulation along with other doctors. There's other things that God has given other people. But let me tell you, people, I do believe that God is utilizing this particular, formulation to really help, in particular with the blood and with the gut and with the brain, because when it's done together, it seems the synergy together, and it really does work. Because you and Shauna connected. Shauna's gut system, everything was so bad.
It was
Her
so bad.
child was also infertile. Now, Shauna, I mean, when you see both of you guys are healthy, people think you're much younger than you are. You have the you have the DeTox Girls. Now you have a you have a Facebook page that people can join too.
Right. So we do have a Facebook group. It's called the DeTox Girls. There are membership questions to get in. It's a private group by invite. So consider Meri your invite. It'll say who invited you. Just please use Meri's name. We only bring in people that we know where they came from. And it's an educational resource group. So you can use it as a library to research any word or key topic that you're looking for and learn more about how the body works. We teach physiology. We talk about the mechanism of action for not only the Trinity, but anything that works in the body to make sure that people have access to information and education. We want you to feel empowered because the body was developed with an intelligent design, but we live in such a toxic world. So it's time we're going to have to take charge of our own health. And we try to keep the difficulty level of that down to a minimum. So in that group, we have everything from very, very basic. We try to teach it in the most basic form, all the way through the science that Shanna and I actually thrive on. We have some science days too. But you can learn in the best way you learn, whether it's in writing or video. And we talk about the products, how they work. We'll talk about how your body works. So please join us on there and let us know, if you have questions. Are you ready? We're there to help. And we love building our community. Meri's been a great part of our community. So grateful for her. You met our friend Lori at a conference, and I know you guys were praying together, and that's how we connected. And so we just continue to grow this community, because at the end of the day, the goal is to have a system outside of the Western medical system where people are empowered, know how to take care of their body, are taking control, and then using medicine when it's the right time and place, rather than something as a symptom management. Let's get to the root cause and let's really get your body thriving.
Yes. Amen. Well, listen, thank you so much, Jill, for coming on. And thanks for watching Now Is the Time. Like I said, that's not something normally I would cry like about a product, but I could just feel God's heart. I can't stop it if I feel it's like, anyway. So, we are here to help. It's spirit, soul, and body. And there's many people, their spirits are thriving, but then their body has been sick. And I've lost, Jill. I don't know about you. I know so many people that have died over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And I know they're in heaven. Many of them are believers, but cancer, this, that, whatever. And many of them didn't take the jab. And so what I'm saying is we're not there to be fearful, but I believe that God it said, you'll know the truth and the truth will set you free. And a lot of it, just like you were using the wrong zeolite formulation, it was pulling everything out of your body, but it wasn't putting the correct, proper trace minerals back in. So it was making you more sick. And
Right.
so we have to do this the right way. And I truly believe in what Dr. Ram has put together, because she wasn't looking to do this. God connected her to Clayton, her husband. I know the whole story. I'm a storyteller. You know, she had been, I don't think she'd mind me telling you this. She had been in an abusive marriage.
Right.
She was married to a high level professional athlete, very abusive, eventually got divorced. And a lot of times, you know, this type of trauma can actually bring on disease and things. And then God connected her with Clayton, who was also, you know, they just clicked together. And he was the one that said, honey, you really need, with your skill set, we need to put together a product and a company that can really help the world. And I believe that the Root Brands is helping the world. So anyway, once again, put up on the screen, therootbrands.com / now is the time. Once again, they just click to explain how they walk through. They just click on, tell them how to.
Yeah, so this will take you to the main page, and at the top there's the the little person icon that means account, right? So you click on that and you just create, it'll say, do you want to create an account? You put in your email address and click continue and you're done. That's it.
And that's all free. It's free
and that's completely free. And so from there, you can then peruse around the website. If you click on the catalog, there's wellness, there's fitness, there's skincare, there's a pet line, there's a coffee line. The coffee is mold and toxin free. If I was going to say one thing, if you're not invested in your health, I'm pretty healthy, switch your coffee to a mold and toxin free coffee right on the website. That changes everything. You start your day off on a much better path. And so it's not just about detox. There's so many great products on there and they're growing every day. I know she has 74 formulations ready to go, but it's a company, so we can't just launch everything all at one time. There's so many great things and you can peruse around the website. Once you're logged in like that, then you have access to that subscribe and save so that it's 10% off and the free shipping. So if anybody has any questions, join the DeTox Girls on Facebook. You can also email me directly and just let me know that Meri sent you my way. And it's the detoxgirls@gmail.com. Let me know what questions you have. I'd be more than happy to guide you in the right place and answer any questions. Make sure you have the referral code, the discounts. I have some videos if you have a certain issue that you're trying to overcome. I have access to hundreds of videos. I'll send one your way. Just create the free account and I'll send you as many videos as you would like to access. We're here for you. I'm here to help. Meri, you are doing God's work and I just love you so much and I'm so grateful to be here.
Well, thanks, Jill. And next time we'll have both you and Shauna back on again. You're great by yourself. Both of their stories, God just brought them together. And that's what God has brought us together. And thank you for actually watching, everybody. Please share this with other people. Sharing is caring. Please follow or subscribe if you're not a subscriber, to the either YouTube or Rumble or one of the other accounts. I know I've been shadow banned and so many different things, but you know what? It doesn't matter. Because I have a film about sex trafficking and talk about, but you know what? We are seeing things change. And as we stay the course, God is our source and he will never divorce us. We're married to him because we're one with Christ and we're more than conquerors. So it's so exciting. So please share this with 5 people because I know everybody has somebody that knows somebody who has an autistic child, that has cancer, somebody that's dealing with mold or toxicity issues. I mean, there's so many things. I started with the Trinity pack, and it'll say very clearly Trinity pack, right? There, and that includes the Clean Slate, Restore for the Gut, and Zero In. Right. And then I stayed on a Root Prime. I mean, I stayed with the Clean Slate every month that I was getting that every month. And then I'd order more things as I needed it as I went. And so you don't have to order that every month, the Trinity pack. I mean, just order the Trinity pack initially and then get on a subscribe and save Root Prime, and I minimally get the Clean Slate. And now, is there a minimal order to be on the Root Prime?
Yeah, the $74 either Clean Slate, Clean Spirits, or Restore is the minimum. So I think I want to say it's $65. That's what keeps you in the free shipping and keeps you with the discount codes every 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, everybody. Well, let's just say a prayer. So, Lord, I thank you for everybody watching. I thank you, God, for many people that are suffering from a number of different types of challenges. And we ask you, Lord, Holy Spirit, that you would envelop them with your peace. We know, Jesus, you do heal. You heal people that were sick and of disease. But God, you do want us then, once we, get healed, you heal them through different products as well. That's why you created doctors. One of the, disciples was a doctor. Luke, a physician. So, Lord, I know you believe in doctors, but many doctors are just trained to promote big pharma. So, God, we know the whole background of the Rockefellers and a number of these things. So we thank you that people are waking up, they're growing up, and it's showing up because we're starting to see the Holy Spirit blowing up, because you're bringing forth a great move of your Spirit, and one of that is in the health region. So, Lord, bless those that are listening and watching, and really help them and give them wisdom about which, thing to do and where they should go. Thank you for connecting them with Jill and Shanna of the DeTox Girls, and staying, with me, listening to my shows and coming to my Open the Heavens event, and being part of this community that we're building for your kingdom. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Well, God bless you guys. Love you all. You're amazing. Please share this with others. And I'll be back soon. We'll see you on the next podcast. God bless, guys. Thanks, Jill.
Thanks, Meri. Thanks.